amazing speakers today who are going to give us the keynote address. Scott Friedman. He's a certified speaking professional and a former president of the National Speakers Association and speaks over 60 times a year on employee innovation and engagement, as well as customer experience and how to create happier, healthier workplace, which is perhaps the need of the hour. In addition to being the CCO at Friedman and Associates, Scott has written Celebrate, Lessons Learned from the World's Most Admired Organizations, A Celebration a Day, 365 Ways to a Happier, Healthier Workplace, and Happily Ever After, How to Engage Any Audience, as well as Using Humor for a Change. Scott is the 2013 NSA Cavett Award recipient, and that is presented annually to the NSA member whose accomplishments over the years have reflected outstanding respect, service, honor, and admiration in the association and the speaking profession. Apart from speaking, Scott is very involved in philanthropic projects. Could we all lend our ears to our first keynote speaker, Scott Friedman?
If life is crazy and you know it, clap your hands. I think I heard some clapping out there. I mean, life is crazy right now, right? I mean, just the fact that we are meeting this way speaks for how crazy life really is, right? I mean, we really have no control over this pandemic. All we have control over is how we react and respond. So why let a good pandemic go to waste? You see, things happen the best for the people that make the best out of the things that happen. So with your permission today, in fact, I think for the next couple days, the whole conference, why don't we put the drama aside and learn to have some fun and laugh a little bit? What do you say? Okay? Cool. All right. Because laughter is good for you, right? I mean, it has no calories, no caffeine, no cholesterol, no MSG, no preservatives, no salt, no sodium, no sugar. It's gluten-free. It's paleo-friendly. It's vegan. And when you laugh, so much of you has a good time. So you have permission to laugh. Sound good? All right, neuroscience reminds us that we are really put on earth to minimize danger and to maximize reward. We are really put here to happy dance. But then stress, pressure, anxiety, COVID-19 sneaks in and ruins our little happy dance. So what is the antidote? What's the answer to all this stress and pressure we may feel on any given day? Well, I think the answer is in vitamin C. Vitamin C as in celebration. Your daily dose will make you more joyful, more grateful, more excited about everyday life. And as HR managers and directors, this will be what will keep you in step with your community. All right? Okay, now as mentioned, I am the author of Celebrate, Lessons Learned from the World's Most Admired Organization. Followed it up with a book called A Celebration a Day, 365 Ways to a Happier, Healthier Workplace. And in the book, we define celebration as acknowledging all that is good, the good work that you do, the people that you do it with, the people that you do it for. It's when your to-do list becomes your done list. It's acknowledging the little and the big milestones along the way. You see, celebration is really just an attitude. It's a philosophy about life. It's the lens through which we see our world. And if you can change your lens, you can change your language, you can change your life. The way that we label our language impacts our thoughts and our words. Look at the difference between the word deadline and finish line. I mean, I don't want to achieve any goal with the word dead in it. Yeah, we finished right on time on Tuesday, but in the process, Manoj and Mark are dead. I mean, that's a heavy price to pay for success, wouldn't you say? Finish line implies that there's going to be some sort of celebration when you get to the end. For the Celebrate book, we had the good fortune of interviewing the country manager of Federal Express in Malaysia. And he sets these audacious goals. And you'd think there would be a lot of stress in trying to achieve these goals. But he trains his people to focus on how they will feel when the tasks or the goals are accomplished. The feeling of excitement, of accomplishment. And they celebrate the little milestones along the way. So they don't get caught up in what's not working. They focus on what is working. So I encourage you, especially now that we're working from home, many of us, I understand in India it's 50-50 or somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit more remote workers. We need to focus more on outcomes now than we do activities. But let's celebrate the outcomes when we get there. So your first charge is to change the word deadline to finish line. And notice if you feel a little different in accomplishing those tasks. When we did research for the book, we actually did it in 35 different countries, interviews, research, surveys, and three things came up as we looked to how do you create a better employee and customer experience. Those three things those three buckets that really seem to make the difference were these three. Number one is gratitude. Gratitude is a thankful feeling for the life that we have and those that we share our lives with. How do you show appreciation for those that you work with? Next was play. And play is living in the present moment. It's being able to let go of all the negative emotions, the anger, the resentment, the blame, the wondering why things can't be like they used to be. It's letting go of that and positively living in the present moment. And then next is surprise. Surprise is the element of the unexpected. It's being able to creatively catch people doing something good and then rewarding them in a creative way. It's honoring people with what's highest on their joy list. It's finding out what they're more passionate about. So if you look at those three words, gratitude, play, and surprise, and you take the first letter of each word, what do we come up with? We come up with GPS. So my recommendation to you is not to get out of bed in the morning without turning on your GPS. I mean, sometimes we're excited to start the day and we're ready to get out of bed. Other times, and maybe during COVID times, not so much. That's when we need to hear that GPS lady's voice in our mind. And what does she say?
Recalculating.
Aha.
Turn left ahead, and you will have reached your destination.
Yes, indeed.
Unless you want to continue being a stupid jerk with a crappy attitude, in which case your destination will be a crappy life. Good luck with that.
Okay, so she has a little bit of an attitude, but I think she makes a good point. Crappy attitude, crappy life. If you have the attitude of gratitude, more of a happy life. So this is really as we look for winning strategies in the new abnormal, I encourage you to turn on your GPS. I think that is going to be the key, first to model it, and then to share the strategies with those that you serve as HR managers and directors. All right. And we're not going to be able to get into too many examples today, but I will have a little handout for you when we get to the end that I'll talk about then. Okay. All right. So that'll give you some great ideas on how to actually turn on your GPS. But we're going to talk about it a little as we go along as well. But that's really the foundation of the program, is how to turn on the gratitude, play, and surprise, which really is the best way to get through these times and strategize for a much more positive, productive future of work. All right, so we need emotion. We need an anchor, something that will remind us when times get tough that we have the choice for joy. We have the choice to keep our GPS turned on. All right, so the universal sign for play is the old hang loose. Give me a little hang loose if you would. In Hawaiian, they call this shaka. Shaka means chill out, relax. I take care of you, you take care of me. It's live your life with more gratitude. Live in the moment positively. Honor people with what's highest on their joy list. That's your GPS. Okay, give me a little GPS. All right, I'm looking. For those of you who have your, come on, let's go. Thank you, Anita, for turning that on. There you go. Good. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. The answer is GPS like you really mean it. You ready? Okay, here we go. Too much stress? GPS. All right, this is the participatory part of the program. Ready? Life's a mess. GPS. COVID, duress. GPS. All right, we'll work on it as we go along. All righty. All right, so first is gratitude. Gratitude needs to come from the heart, not the head. Abundance flourishes in a grateful heart. I truly believe that the single most important determinant of your future well-being, especially as what we're going through, is how well you practice gratitude. So how do we move from having an attitude to having an attitude of gratitude? You know an attitude, right? Another dark, dreary, dreadful day in the HR dungeon of doom. We know people like that, right? Right. So how do we change that to the attitude of gratitude? Well, I think it starts with one question that we ask ourselves every day. That question is, first thing when we wake up, before you get a chance to feel anxious or pressure, ask yourself this question. Get in the habit. Try it for 21 days. What do I have to be grateful for? You wake up, you check the obituary section, your name is not there. It's going to be a good day. When you count your blessings, you find you have so many more blessings to count. And then before you go to bed, same thing, write down 2 or 3, 4 blessings or gratitude that what you're grateful for, things that happened during the day. And even if things didn't work out, the lessons are the gifts from those situations. It'll calm your mind. You'll sleep better by practicing that before bed. All righty, what do I have to be grateful for? There was a Harvard psychiatrist who created an app called Track Your Happiness. Wanted to find out when people in life were the most happy. So what do you think would cause happiness? What circumstances, events would cause people to be more happy? Well, some of those things were, as you may guess, would be exercise, listening to good music, fine dining, shopping, kids, animals. Well, if you mix them together this way, maybe not so much, okay? But the reason I share this with you, and what's more important than the circumstances people find themselves in, is how they define or the stories they tell themselves about the events of their life. You see, if you look at your life circumstances on any given day through the eyes of anger and resentment, and you look at the past the same way, it shows up as anger, resentment, and fear in your future. If you look at the past and the present through the eyes of gratitude, that everything that's happened to you and that's happening now has helped create the superhero that you are today, that shows up as hope and faith in your future. You want more happiness? Then look for gratitude in your situations. So how do we create that habit of happiness? Well, simply ask yourself the question, in any situation, any challenge or conflict, what's the gift? If there was some lesson to be learned, if there was some silver lining in all of this, what would it be? You see, that the darkest moments always have some light if we look for the light. So let's turn darkness into light. There's an old Buddhist prayer that states, "Grant that I may be given appropriate difficulties and sufferings on this journey, so that my heart may be truly awakened, and my practice of liberation and universal compassion may be truly filled. For it is thought that if we have no genuine, true struggles in life, then we have no opportunity for genuine growth." Anybody feel like you have too many opportunities for genuine growth right about now? Yeah. But if we look for the gifts, we are really growing through this time if we allow ourselves to. Things happen the best for the people that make the best out of the things that happen. You see, it's not happiness that makes us grateful, but it's gratefulness that makes us happy. All right, give me a little GPS for gratitude. All right, are you doing it? Come on. Those with the cameras off, I can see right through those cameras. Come on. All right, thank you. Beautiful. All right, next is play. And play is simply being able to accept our current reality, all the expectations and demands that are placed on us and we place on ourselves, all the pressure and stress and heartache, and we all go through heartache. It's being able to accept our current reality and still turn on the old GPS. And it starts with our intention. It starts with making the choice to have more joy in our lives. It's what we do. Are we looking for humor? Are we looking for joy during this time? You know, some of us have let ourselves just, okay, it's a dark time in our lives. Let's go with that. No, we don't have to go with that. We had a chance to interview a man by the name of Scott Friedman for the first book. He is the former president and publisher of the Denver Business Journal. And Scott has this wonderful ritual. Whenever they hire somebody at the Denver Business Journal, before they're hired, maybe as they're getting on in the interview process a ways, he will pop into the interview and he will ask them this question. He said, if you come to work here at the Denver Business Journal, can we make an agreement that this will be the best job you've ever had? Right? They may not even know what the job is, right? I mean, they don't, how would they even know that? But what is he trying to find out in this situation? Attitude, intention. Is this an intention for you to really like it here, a career as opposed to just a job? If the answer is yes, they're still a candidate for that job. And who they hire, whoever it is, he has a conversation with them on that first day of work, and he'll remind them of that little chat that they had during the interview. And he will say, all right, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be obstacles, but we can do this together. We can create an employee experience for you that makes sense. I am going to set you up for success. I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to give you the tools that you need. We're going to check in. And the reason I share this with you is because this is so important in your roles right now as we look to win in this new abnormal. is we need to check in. The employee experience becomes a conversation. It becomes a journey between you and your employees. There's got to be trust. There's got to be transparency. And you need to check in more than you ever have before, because you don't know how people handle these different things emotionally. All right, so set the intention and create it together. All right, I believe play starts with a good sense of humor. All right, how many would say you have a pretty good sense of humor? Okay, how many used to have a good sense of humor? Okay, how many have never had a sense of humor, but you think there may be some hope somewhere? A sense of humor is more than the ability to tell jokes, because anyone with a sense of timing and a memory can tell jokes. The true test of a sense of humor is your ability to take yourself lightly during tense situations. It's the ability to find something funny in life's inconveniences. If I wanted my dad to lose his sense of humor when I was growing up, all I would have to do is bring home my report card. Junior high, worst report card ever. My dad beats me to the mailbox. We'd send home our grades through the mail. Dinner time, pulls out my report card. He says, "Scott, what is this?" I said, "Dad, it's one person's opinion. Must we discuss it?" One person's opinion. How come Andy doesn't get C's and D's on his report card? Andy was one of my best friends growing up. I could never quite measure up. I said, "Dad, you can't compare me to Andy. We are so much different." "Oh, are you? How are you so much different?" I said, "Dad, Andy has very bright parents." It took me a long time before I could sit down and laugh at that. But we do. We have opportunities to lose our sense of humor every day, don't we? Yeah. Siri, what could possibly cause this distinguished group of HR professionals from Bangalore and India, what could possibly cause them to lose their sense of humor? Anything?
Zoom fatigue, dogs barking and kids crying in the background of my Zoom call, the guy at the supermarket coughing on the last head of lettuce, COVID-19 entering the second wave before it even left the first wave, hoping some employees won't ever come back to work, trying to learn to cook and having to eat my own meals, fear of getting infected, fear of infecting others, fear of losing my mind, fearful employees, having to be a counselor and therapist to so many employees, running out of patience. Looking for love in the virtual world, being distracted all the time, my kids driving me crazy when I'm online, wondering when this will all be over, wondering what the heck the future will be like, the speed of the internet being painfully slow, coming to the realization that I married the wrong man, not knowing if I have a fever or hot flashes, feeling anxiety, staff doing inappropriate posting on Facebook, people violating my space, my mask not matching any of my wardrobe, wishing I could trade in my family for a new puppy.
So I guess there are a few different things that can cause stress. All right, so there are. But if we look for the humor, we find it. If we look for the good, we can find the humor. If we look for the humor, we can find the good. As we feel the stress creeping up our back and into our shoulders and our neck, do we have a strategy? It's up to us to find the humor, to not let the stress get the best of us. I started a group about 10 years ago on Facebook called Celebration at Work. As I was doing research for the book, the first book, I thought, I'd share the research and some of the studies and some perspective and some humor as well. But lately, in the last 9 months, I've turned it in a little bit more, actually a lot more humor. So I encourage you to, if you want a good laugh and some good ideas as well, join me at Celebration at Work. Here's some of my favorite that I've shared here in the last 7 or 8 months. So let's take a look at a few of these if you would with me. Okay, here we go. 2020, written by Stephen King, directed by Quentin Tarantino. I'm having a quarantine party this weekend. None of you are invited. I have spent 2 weeks by myself and want to apologize to anyone and everyone I have ever spent time with. Never buy a mask from a secondhand store. This is Sammy. He's working from home today. Okay, be honest. How many of you, this is your background right now? You know, you just clean up that little space, ready for another day of Zoom meetings. All right, or maybe this one applies. Audio only with video. I think that's kind of cute. I was just tired of being able not to share smiles. So, yeah, the future of t-shirts. False advertising, sure enough. This will be the first year we're not going to Hawaii because of COVID-19. Normally we don't go because we can't afford it. I told my suitcases that there will be no traveling this year. Now I'm dealing with emotional baggage. And now some little bit more focus on the positive. The secret to living well and longer is eat half, walk double, laugh triple, and love without measure. If we could spread love as quickly as we spread hate and negativity, what an amazing world we would live in. All right, so join me at Celebration at Work and share some fun and share a little bit of humor with me if you would. You see, the highest form of humor is the ability to laugh at ourselves. The lowest form of humor is making somebody else a target of a joke. But if we can laugh at ourselves, in a sense, what we're saying is that we accept our flaws and our foolishness and our imperfections, and then people can't laugh at us. They have to laugh with us. Jack Welch said the secret to his success at General Electric was to take your work seriously and take yourself lightly. That's some pretty good advice. You see, two important questions as we look to the future. Number one is, have you decided you want it to be fun? We don't want to go through life pouting like this little kid. And then question number two is, what are you doing to make it more fun? What are you doing to make it more fun? It's up to us. All we really need to do is to get creative. Let's get a little bit more creative with what we do every single day. There's an organization in Colorado here called Design Force. And every Tuesday, they have what's called Toss It Tuesday. And what they do is they provide 2 heads of lettuce for their staff, and then everybody brings in 1 or 2 items for a salad. Okay, today I'm bringing in pecans and blue cheese. And then you have a little salad smorgasbord, salad buffet, and everybody puts whatever items they want on their salad. And then they talk about how to make better the employee and customer experience. In the case of Design Force, also design ideas. All right, but wouldn't that be nice every once a week to, when we get back to work, for those of you who are not at work yet, you're working remotely, but, or even if you do, you can do it, you can have a little smorgasbord at home remotely. And then you share ideas, knowing that you're going to have to come up with something from the last Tuesday. So you're encouraged to look at how you interact with your favorite brands. Maybe take ideas from a movie or a book that you may be reading or a play, but coming up with how during this crazy time and as we look to what the future may be, how can we create this together? How can we make a better employee experience? You know, town hall meetings are important these days. Making sure that everybody feels ownership for the new direction in which you're heading. And again, transparency and trust are so important. But it's looking for these new ideas together. I love what Linus Pauling, a Nobel Prize winner, said. He said the best way to come up with The best way to come up with a new idea or a good idea is to come up with lots of good ideas, because today's wow becomes tomorrow's expectation. So we continually need to, especially today as we're in the most rapid period of change we've ever been in before, we need to do it together. How many have seen The Shawshank Redemption? Great movie, wasn't it? If you haven't seen it, it's a must read. Two main characters in the movie, Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins. Morgan Freeman is Red, Tim Robbins is Andy. As the movie gets on a ways, Red and Andy are having one of those heart-to-heart conversations in the prison yard. And Red is sharing his fear of the future. He's been in prison nearly 40 years. He's up for parole for the third time, but this time it really looks like he's going to get out, and he's scared to death. He doesn't know what it's like on the outside anymore. And as he's complaining to Andy, Andy turns to him and he says, it all comes down to a simple choice. You either get busy living or you get busy dying. Great advice as we approach the future, right? We can fear it, we can ignore it, we can just accept it, or we can anticipate it, we can imagine it. The best way to predict the future is to create it by making good choices, learning from our choices, and making new choices. And remembering it's okay to be uncertain, it's okay to be in fear. And the good news is comfort never produced greatness. Comfort never produced greatness. A true measure of success today is your ability to transition. Eric Hoffer said, in times of change, learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will be beautifully equipped to deal with the world that no longer exists. The world as we knew it no longer exists. Goethe said that whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. So if you would for me, give me a little GPS for play. Be more creative. Create the employee and customer experience together, right? It's your intention. It's your choice to create joy, to look for the humor, to take yourself more lightly in these tense times that we find ourselves in.
This is your pilot speaking. My name is Adrian Oberhensli. I'm working from home today.
Surprise! Surprise, the element of the unexpected. It's paying more attention to those that you work with, looking outward instead of looking inward all the time. Right? It's how can we take better care of others? How can we truly honor people for what's highest on their joy list? You know, it's really about lifting them up and not letting them down. You see, the quality of life is really determined by the quality of our relationships. And men and women are so much different about relationships, aren't they? I mean, don't you love two women who haven't seen each other in a long time, how they respond? It's you, I can't believe it's you. Oh, God. Honey, who was that lady? Oh, some lady I met at the airport a couple years ago. For the life of me, I can't remember her name. Two guys haven't seen each other. How do they respond? Honey, who was that man? It's Frank. You remember Frank? Frank is the guy that gave me the kidney. Hey, thanks again for the kidney, Frank here. See, that's right. The quality of life is determined by the quality of our relationships. Luciana de Crescenza said that we're all angels, but with only one wing. And only by embracing each other, we fly. Never forget how many people you help to fly. Thank you very much.